Hey guys, it's Nancy, the Cozy Coastal Gamer, and today we're doing a speed build for the Magic Realm. When I saw the trailer for Enchanted by Nature, I instantly thought of the Realm of Magic expansion, and I thought that they would work really well together to merge. So when the pack came out, I downloaded a shell that I really liked, and kudos to the maker of that shell. They did an amazing job. I believe their name was Crypt 1025, and I was so intimidated by this build that I could not process how to build an entire castle. The biggest lot I think I've built was a 50 by 50, but it was a park. So it was one level and I built it as I went. So I had time to process what I was doing. And this was the first build I did this size, where I just did all of it at the and one go. And I'm going to be replacing all of the doors and windows. So it's going to cut to everything looking gray, and with the castle pack, castle kit windows on the Enchanted by Nature windows. Some of them are Realm of Magic windows, but I just really thought the castle kit worked really well for the castle. Imagine that. And I thought it worked well for the Realm of Magic area. So right now I'm lighting up all of the spaces that I wanted to put something in. And I really wanted to use the Magic Realm fireplace, but it clipped in the walls when you put it in that little cubby for the fireplace. So I ended up not using it in the end. And the hardest part for me for this build was to find, what am I trying to say, is to find out where to start. So I thought I would start in the greenhouse, but I actually didn't. I added the lights in the greenhouse, but in the end, I started with this little, I call it the groundskeeper's quarters, just because I've built houses before. I know how to do that, so I tried to start there, and then I hoped the rest of it would fall into place, but I still ended up bouncing around a little bit. So if you find that jarring, I'm sorry. Sometimes I would see something that really struck me with inspiration, so I would then bounce back to the next zone of that area. And in the end, I really wanted to merge the Enchanted by Nature, Crystal Creations, Paranormal Stuff Pack, and Realm of Magic. So I filtered a lot between those packs. You'll see me trying to find those. Oh, and vampires. I forgot. Vampires too. I used a lot of the vampire stuff, but then I was looking into the lore when the fairies pack came out, and you found out that the fairies, that they didn't like spellcasters and they didn't like vampires, but they liked werewolves and they liked mermaids. That really intrigued me because I'm still kind of a newbie with The Sims. I started playing Sims about a year and a half ago, so I still needed to catch up with the lore, but that really intrigued me. So I actually looked into why fairies didn't like spellcasters and vampires, and in that process I found out that vampires in The Sims were spellcasters' clones. Spellcasters would create clones to do mundane things, and then they would feed them potions to take care of their needs. And in the potions, one of the ingredients, they said it was frog plasma. And so after so many years of this, Vlad was the first vampire, and he started craving, he transformed into the first vampire, and then he ate plasma. That's why vampires eat plasma. And so fairies don't like spellcasters and vampires because they are unnatural. And I just found that fascinating. And so in the end, thinking about it, the fact that I used a lot of not a lot of vampires, but I used some vampires like tapestries and stuff, I think it made sense if vampires were clones of spellcasters. So I just really found that interesting, and it actually made me want to do like an occult focus, just gameplay. Like it really made me want to start playing the occults, because usually I just play with the Sims and not the occults, and they're usually just in the background. Anyway, the next room that I wanted to do was the potions room. I tried to do 4 specific rooms. So I had a potions room, and then 3 rooms for the spell magic. I can't remember the names of them right now. Like Untamed, Mischief, and Practical. I think something like that. So it took me a while to just find a focus. And I think this is where I started doing the groundskeeper one. I just attempt number 2. And I put the original fireplace that was in the build shell again, which was the Enchanted by Nature shell. And I picked a color scheme that I wanted to do. I wanted to do purple. And I know purple is like the hardest color to build with in the game, but I really like purple for magical aspects. And then I was trying to find a balance between the Enchanted by Nature stuff and the Realm of Magic stuff. So I liked this table from Enchanted by Nature, and I thought because it was so swirly and it seemed pretty magical to me. So I used that, but I ended up using the smaller one in the end. And then I'm just trying to find what furniture, what kind of stuff I wanted. And then it was really hard to figure out how to fit a bathroom. Like, as you can see, I'm trying to do a bump out. It's like maybe that'll add something like space-wise to the bathroom, and it didn't work. It didn't work. So it took me a long time to just figure out the layout of this tiny home. And I've built tiny homes before, but I think because this one I started with a shell and I had to figure it out something to fit within the shell, I had a hard time. But in the end, I think I like what I did. I did a 3-tile bathroom that created a 1-tile space for the entryway. Like, for instance, you can see the dresser on the right side. I mimicked that on the other side so that it had the same distance. And I just did a standard, well, not quite standard 3-tile bathroom because I did the Realm of Magic shower, so I didn't do the university shower, sink, and toilet combo that you usually see. And then I tried to do the Realm of Magic table, but I ended up... Did I do the Realm of Magic table? Maybe I did the Realm of Magic table. Oh yeah, Realm of Magic table and the Enchanted by Nature seats. That's what I ended up doing. And I really liked that. And I had a hard time figuring out what to do with the furniture because I had gray walls. I thought maybe the gray furniture would be good, and then I would get pops of color with the accessories, but I ended up in the end doing brown furniture, wood tone furniture with gray walls and floor. So I ended up changing the floor. But yeah. So I'm just getting the kitchen. I added a little easel outside and a seating area. And then this is the vampires wallpaper. I don't think did I end up with the vampires wallpaper? I think I did. I think I ended with the vampires wallpaper. And that's the only place in the entire build that uses colored walls. All of the other walls in the whole build are the cottage living, I think it's called Brick Whisper. I really liked on the inside of it, I liked the faded brick, like it's been lived in. And so that's what I ended up doing for the rest of the castle. But I figured if the groundskeeper, if someone actively lives here, they might put up a wallpaper to see, what they like. So I'm just finishing up the bathroom, and I was back and forth on if I should do tile or if I should stick with the wood floor. It was a process. Like this build, I started it when Enchanted by Nature came out, so it took over 2 weeks to do. It took over 2 weeks to do. But I'm really, really happy with how it turned out in the end. And I think it was worth the wait. Let me know in the comments if you think it was worth the wait. And then we'll get back to the Dynamic Worlds Challenge now that this is finally done. And I'm trying to figure out the lighting. I ended up doing the saucer lighting as like just a placer, and it was it was hard for me to think of. I usually default to the saucer lighting, the mini saucers, because then it doesn't interrupt your gameplay. Like you don't see it in the way of what you're trying to do. So I usually default to that. But I figured if I'm going to put this much work into a build, I'm going to make sure I have like nice looking lights. So that's why I put the big giant saucers on the ceiling, so that I will remember you have to replace these. do not leave these. And I'm right now, the light that I have on the table right there, I thought maybe they really liked it because spellcasters have familiars, and I thought even though it's a night light, well, maybe they like the light because it reminds them of a familiar they used to have or currently have. And then I'm trying to find a plant. One of the things I really liked about the Enchanted by Nature pack were the plants. I don't know if I already said this before, because this is my second time recording because I found out my mic was not working the first time. So forgive me if I said this before. One of the things I really liked about the Enchanted by Nature pack were the plants. I really, really liked that they had unnatural colors. And I think they did that so that it could work in the fairy world. So I added a lot of those plants, the potted plants, for like little areas here and there. And one of the places I put them was this little nook outside with the painting easel. I thought maybe they really like it there. So right now I'm trying to find just the clutter to put on the fireplace. And this fireplace is really weird. Like nothing uh, snaps to it. Like the only thing I could find was that rose from Enchanted by Nature to click into place on those shelves. And I found that really, really frustrating. I love the fireplace, but it's just like you can't clutter it unless you use the Alt key. So that was frustrating. And I think I'm almost done with the groundskeepers. I'm trying to find curtains, which it was a bit of a struggle. I wanted to have it look magical, for lack of a better word, but I also wanted it to look practical, and I also had the fact that shower was right there. And I ended up using on the living room walls, and I replaced these ones too. I replaced them with the paranormal stuff pack curtains, which I did that off camera. I did all of the curtains in the living room and bedroom part of the groundskeepers with the paranormal stuff pack ones. I just really liked how they looked with the beads hanging down, and I had purple in them, but it wasn't all purple, so I thought they looked really good. And I'm just trying to find some clutter, and the way I do clutter is I just go through the clutter section and I just look at all the different things, and I'm like, oh, this will look good here. Oh, this will look good here. So basically I do the build and then I do the clutter, and because I see the clutter, and I think because there's so much clutter items that I cannot memorize what all of them are. So when it is time for me to clutter, unless I know a specific item, like the open book from the Comfy Gamer kit, I know where that one is, so I will find that one and then put it down. But most of the clutter items, I can't remember all of them, so I just search through all the clutter items, and then I'm like, this will go good here, and then I put it down. So I do kind of bounce around when I do clutter, but I think in the end it looks okay, and I hope it is not too jarring in the video. So I'm trying to find a wall sculpture. I ended up finding this from Base Game, which I liked. And then the next room I'm doing is the potions room. So I tried to focus on one room at a time. I knew I wanted this to be the potions room because the greenhouse was right next to it. So I figured they could go in the greenhouse and get their ingredients and then attend the class. I started with 3 cauldrons, but I ended up changing it to 2. So I had one for the teacher and then one for the students. And I wanted to make sure I used the Realm of Magic desks, because I thought in live mode, the Realm of Magic desks have like this glowing orb thing. It's like a misty, wispy thing coming out from that center spot. You can kind of see it there. It's blue. And I thought that would look really, really good. And then that's when I decided that all of the furniture should be wood tones, and then the flooring and the walls should be gray because it's a castle. So I'm replacing all of the flooring that I put in, and then changing all of the furniture. And it was a little bit frustrating, but I think in the end it was worth redoing every single thing that I put down. And that wasn't everything. It was just everything in the groundskeeper's room after I already spent a couple days on it. And like I said, this was an epic beast for me. I've never built something this big, and it was so intimidating. And I normally, when I build, I have my husband come in who has a good eye for art, like balance and stuff like that. My brain's not working. He has a really good eye for artistic details. So I usually have him in the room when I build. And this build, he did not help me. He had one idea. I after one recording session, I had him come in and I said, "What do you think about this?" And he said, "It looks good." And I said, he gave me one thing. He said, "How about you put a library here?" And I put that's the upstairs library. And he had me, he suggested the layout of the library. And then that's where I got the idea of using the Secret Sanctuary kit, the Bella Goth kit, secret door in the library to create, in my brain, I called it the dark, like an evil sorcerer room. I added the seance table and another cauldron. So this lot has 4 cauldrons, because I have 2 in the classroom. I have 1 just outside the classroom, and then I have 1 in the quote secret room. And then now I'm just cluttering up the room, and like I said, I'm just going through the decorations tab, finding what I like, and then I'm trying to find rugs. I thought it would be good to have faded rugs underneath all of the desks, just because it seemed to make sense in my head. Like, those are the places that are most used, so they would have the most wear and tear. And then even the rugs, like if there's a rug that the teacher uses, it might not necessarily have the most wear and tear like the desks do, because the chairs are going in and out, rubbing on the rug. So I thought, if you're going to use the worn rugs, this is where you're going to do it. And I had a really hard time. The room actually that was hardest for me in this entire build was the entryway. Like, it's huge. Do you see how big that is? This ginormous. I had such a hard time. I had no idea what to do. Like I said, I've never built a castle. And I had no idea. So I tried different rugs. I tried going into the gallery and finding tool modded rugs, and I didn't like any of it. So, but when I was trying to find a rug for that big entryway, I found these crystal creation rugs, and I ended up putting them all around because I liked them so much. I wanted to make sure that I used them in the rooms. And I put this paranormal stuff rug in here, and in the end, that rug left. Same with that chandelier. I thought I was going to use them, but it didn't work out. And then the random thing about this build is the shell was amazing. I loved this shell. It was so pretty. My only frustration with this shell was that the plants clipped in the walls. The outdoor landscaping plants a lot of them clipped in the wall. So like you see right there, you can see the plant clipping in the wall where the toilet is. And I had to fix it. I found that a lot in this build, just tiny, tiny little clips of plants in the walls that I ended up fixing. But I think it was worth it in the end to take a shell from the gallery and work on it, because I couldn't make this build. There's no way I could do this. And again, this shell was amazing. I cannot say it enough that this person that made the shell, they did an amazing job. And all I did was make the inside, and I did tweak the landscaping a little bit to fit the magic realm. And so I have 7 bathrooms in this build. And I thought maybe that's too much. Originally, I was going to have more. I was going to have 9 bathrooms in this build. So I really wanted to use that closet from Get Together. And I had a hard time figuring out which room it would fit because of the shape of these rooms. It was hard, but I finally found one, and that way this lot has 2 woohoo spots. So another thing that I do is every community lot that I build has to have a woohoo spot, because I have downloaded stuff from the gallery, and then for whatever reason I want my characters to woohoo, and there's no woohoo spot. And I try my best to minimize going into build mode while I'm trying to play the game. So every build that I do, every community lot, has to have a woohoo spot. So this lot has 2. And yeah, it has a bed and it has that closet. So now I'm just making all the bathrooms, and watching this, I realized I did not put toilet paper rolls or towels in 6 of the 7 bathrooms. So I'm going to have to, after I film this voiceover, I'm going to have to fix that and re-upload this to the gallery. And then, those orb lights, the floor orb lights, I changed all of those colors to be purple. And this is that secret room I told you about that I have now switched gears from. I really wanted to use the Crystal Creations gemology table ? Is that what it's called? So it was hard for me to figure out where to put that thing. And then this room I had a hard time too. It's the room, so this lot, it makes sense for a house. But I was debating whether or not to even use it for this build, because this room is kind of random. You come in, and there was a mailbox there that I deleted. You come in this footpath to this room, and then you turn into the grand entrance that I said. So I was like, what does this room even make sense for? And then it hit me, it's like a check-in room. So I got the desk from Get to Work. I think it's even called the front desk. And so I added a sign-in sheet, and I love that little cow plant in the display. And I figured that's like his little pet. And so I made it look like a check-in desk. And one of the hardest things for me is finding a rug that I like. I went through so many rugs on this build, this entire build. Like every single rug I put down like 16 rugs for one rug. I was like, I just want one rug that makes sense. And then I was thinking about having this as a storage room, but I was like, if this person is stuck here in the check-in desk, even though it's not going to be manned with the person check you in, I figured they would have a bathroom. So I ended up using that one space as a bathroom. And this is the library that I was telling you about. So my husband had the idea for the bookshelves, the bookcases, and then I had the idea for the secret sanctuary kit, secret door. I just think that door looks nicer than the one that comes in base game that you unlock. So I ended up doing that one. And I took, again, with this build, every single couch, I go through 16 couches just to find the right couch. And I actually really liked these ones from base game. I don't know why. I never use these couches, but I just feel like it worked really well. And then I one of my hardest things that I do is wall decorations. I just find that really hard. I don't know why. I play with the half walls down, so it's just the one walls down and then the back walls up. So I find it in my brain, I'm like, I'm not even going to see the wall. Why do I need to put up a decoration? But most people play with the walls up, and then they kind of have it angled down so they see the walls. So I was like, all right. If I'm going to put this much effort into this build and I'm going to put it on the gallery and I'm spending 2 weeks on it, I need to put in the time to find a decoration on the wall for all the walls that looks nice. So another thing about this build is that the windows kept glitching. You know how a window, it sometimes the window part, you see the wall, that kept glitching on me, so I had to fix the windows 16 times. It was a lot. I think all of them are fixed, but I'll double check when I fix the toilet paper rolls and the towels in the bathroom. And I knew this area I wanted to be a little reading nook, a lounge, relaxy area. And I found this table from base game. I've never seen that table before. So I was like, how is this base game? And I put the Crystal Creations gemology table on this floor. I think I changed it. Yeah, I think I moved it down a floor, and this ended up being the classroom. It took me a while just to figure out like I said, the floor plan. I had to put something somewhere as a filler and then decide, does it work here? And I ended up switching things around. The things that I knew right away that would be in those spots was the book area, the library, and the secret dark wizard area with the seance table and the cauldron, and the potions room, and of course the greenhouse. And those are the places that I knew would be there. And then the rest of them I had to figure out as I went. So I had to place stuff down and figure it out. And I also, this room, this little space in the back, I had a hard time by the stairs. I ended up putting a little seating area right there where that big round window is on the right. And the Enchanted by Nature large sofa fit perfectly there. I was like, this was made for this spot. And then I'm on the gallery and I wanted to put all of the fairy plants. I know the fairy plants have nothing to do with the realm of magic, but hear me out. They look cool. Just like the crystal tree looks like it fits, but it it has, well, you'd use crystals for potions, but yeah, I thought the Enchanted by Nature fairy plants worked really well. And then if you go on the gallery and you go by rooms and you put in tool, you can get a whole bunch of things that people have already sized for tool, with tool. And I play on console, so I can't use tool, unfortunately. And I really liked these rugs, and I really, really wanted to use these rugs, but I could not put them on the lot so I could get the rugs. I had been putting stuff in the basement, like I got the fairy plants that way, and I couldn't do that with these rugs. So I said, to hell with it, I'm not putting these rugs in. I'll figure out something else. And what I ended up doing for that main entryway, I ended up really, really liking. So it worked out in the end, but that's a good tip if you play on console or if you don't play with mods and you want to get something that's resized. You can look on the gallery for things that have been altered with tool, and you just type in tool in the item name or use a hashtag, and you can come up with a whole bunch of really creative rooms that you can download and put the things with. So I'm making the next floors bathrooms, and that's, you can see on the top there, well, not now, but in this floor, that's where, there it is. That's the get together, the get together dresser woohoo spot. And then this one is, I figured it would just be like a little storage room. So I put a cabinet, and then I put, I think like a couple boxes, and I put some stacked chairs. So it was just something to fill in. And then this is where I'm putting in the desks for the teaching area. So that is the whiteboard from Businesses and Hobbies. And I put that in thinking the Businesses and Hobbies pack, if you go to the museum in the Businesses and Hobbies world, what is that called? What is that world? All I can think of is the Enchanted by Nature world right now. But anyway, the Businesses and Hobbies world, I cannot think of it right now for the life of me. If you go to the museum there, they have that whiteboard, and you can have, I think it's Crispin, do lectures, or you can do lectures, I think, in that area. So I had the thought you could do lectures here and get up your skills that way. And now I'm cluttering all the desks. So like I said, when I go through clutter, I just go to the clutter section and I figure out what I need. And then I'm like, oh, this will look great here. So I'm bouncing around. Sorry if you find it jarring. It's just, this is how my brain can handle, because I, for life of me, cannot memorize all of these clutter items. I don't know what it is about these clutter items, but I cannot memorize all of them. I memorize a lot of them, but not all of them. So I think I ended up, these books, a lot of like I put the bookshelves, what is it? The book surface item? It's like an end table I put on the other side of that bookcase. And then these tomes from werewolves, I thought they were great. And oh yeah, I did play test the garden to see if all of the garden plants are accessible, even though I put that clutter. I didn't want to clutter up the garden area because I wanted it still usable. And I thought the life and death quills also looked really, really good. And then I put the other quills from base game on the other desks just to change it up a little bit. And now I'm going through and doing the wall decorations because, like I said, if I'm putting in all this time, I want to make sure that all the wall decorations are in. So it was, I've never built a castle before, so it was really hard for me to figure out what to put on these dang walls. And I'm just going through and seeing what I like and just trial and error. Find something, put it on, see if I like it. No, try something else. But in that process, I ended up finding some things that I really liked and they worked. Like this book, I really thought looked good. And then I put that in a few different places. And I thought the coat of arms looking thing, I put that a few different places as well. And I actually really liked that book, which is a base game item. Again, I was like, I did not know this was a base game, but there it is. It is base game. Yeah. Oh, another thing I struggle too is plants. I think plants do really well in adding details to your builds, but I have a hard time finding the right plant. So, yeah. I'm sorry if I repeat plants. Oh, and then that cabinet clipped through the wall. So I tried to add some ivy, and I used the vampire ivy, but I realized that the shell that I downloaded, they used the cottage living ivy everywhere. So I deleted all of that, and then I got the cottage living ivy to make it look like it fit in more. And I really wanted to make sure it did not clip into the wall. So I worked really hard on getting it to work. And then I think I zoomed out to really far to see, and I think it worked pretty well. And then I got that couch again from base game. I thought it worked, and I found a matching chair for this little area. So I got another little reading nook. And then this and when I was in debug, so this is all debug, and you can do debug on console. To do debug, you search in the search bar, but instead of searching for debug like PC players do, you search for nothing. So you just do a blank search. And then when the search comes up, you hit the up key, and that takes you to the bottom of the scrolling. Everything on the bottom is debug. So from there, you can filter by pack. So if you know the pack that the debug comes in, then you can find the item fairly quickly in debug, even if you don't have organized debug like PC players have. And once I figured that out, debug is not intimidating for me anymore, and I actually like getting stuff from debug. So in the landscaping for this shell, there were a lot of rocks everywhere that I replaced with these crystals. And I think the crystals are from show hidden objects. So they're hidden, they're not quote debug. But the orbs that I'm placing around now, when I saw them, I was like, oh, I need to put those just to add that little mystical feel. These are from show live edit objects. So these are from debug, and I'm just placing them around, sizing them differently. And I didn't want to go too heavy on the purple, so I'm focusing on the orbs with the teal and the yellow, with some of the purple here and there, just to make sure I'm trying to balance out the colors. And I thought if the spellcaster's magic spells are 3 schools of magic, then I tried to balance out the colors of the crystal and the orbs to balance with the 3 different colors. There was a teal, there was the purple, and there was the yellow. So that was my thinking for that. And then now I'm just finishing up the rest of the just little nooks and crannies here and there. And I found a lot of these tomes and the familiar orbs. And I remembered with the default lot that comes with Realm of Magic, I think there's one familiar orb that you can find. And I thought maybe I could put some of them there, but I didn't want to do like the hardest one to find. So I put the like cheaper ones, more common ones there. Oh, and this is that couch I was talking about from Enchanted by Nature. I just love the way that it sits under that window because it's a curved couch and it curves under that window. I just thought that looked really, really good. What was I saying? Anyway, the orbs and the familiars and the tomes. So I put the tomes around on the desks and some orbs on the surfaces. But when I was playtesting, somehow one of the tomes got where I put one of those notebooks, and I was like, ugh. So I have to fix that too, which I should write down when I fix the toilet paper rolls and the towels. So I'm just finishing up the last little touches and again trying to find a rug that I like. I wanted the faded rugs from Werewolves, and I finally found them. It took a couple attempts, but I found them, and then trying to find the right color. I just thought these areas would be heavier traffic, and then trying to find some clutter. I'd like to do plants where I can, but sometimes it's hard to find the right plant. So I'm just going through like I do with the clutter, where I had the plants and I just go through all the plants and I'm like, this one will go good here. So I put it there. And then now I'm just double checking the rooms to see if there's anything I like. And then I thought maybe because this was a secret room, it might have cobwebs, but I just didn't like how the cobweb looked. And trying to find some artwork and just double checking. I could tell that the build was almost done. And that tapestry on the wall next to the door, that was like my favorite thing to put up on the wall. And I don't know why. It's from Vampires. I just loved it. I was like, I have never used this in a build before, but I love how this looks in the castle. So I ended up putting that around a few different places. And then trying to find the right photos, plants, and wall sculptures are just, and clutter are just the hardest things for me. So basically building the entire thing, it takes a long time. I find for me, building is more of a methodical process. Like I have to let the build speak to me versus I tell the build what I want it to be. That is my build process. So I usually have to let things percolate and ideas have to come. And that is why this build took 2 weeks to build. It took so long. But we are coming to the end of this build finally, and I'm just doing the final touches, and this is the last room. I saw this fountain when I was finding something to alter the landscape to try and make it fit in more, and I saw this fountain and I thought, well, if the fountain, if the entryway is big enough, why wouldn't it have a fountain? So I put in the fountain, and I thought the occult markings from the Paranormal Stuff Pack worked really well to give it that mystical look. And then I'm adding all of the orb lights again and fixing the clipped plants. The clipped plants. They were they were hard to grab which plant, because it's easier to grab the plant from the inside and then try and find like which of the 6 plants outside it is. So that was a bit tricky. And then I colored all of the orb lights purple, those floor lights purple, just to give that extra mystical. I might have already said that. I'm sorry. This is a long build. I really liked the knights, and I put them in the entryway, and then I realized I had to center the check-in counter, and then I'm just double checking how everything looks, see if there's any final little details. And I think I'm trying to find, these plants from Lovestruck. I really like those. Oh, and then when I saw the cow skull, I was like, I have to put that in the potions room. And I think that's about it. Anything? Oh, maybe another more. Oh, yeah. These paintings on the wall in the entryway. And that. Oh, one last thing. One more cauldron. I think that fit better than the table. And that is the build. Ta-da! Okay, this is it. So the entryway is here in their little bathroom. I added all of the toilet paper rolls and the towels in all the bathrooms. And then you come through here, go in the front entrance. Then you see this lovely fountain. And then here's the potion room, the garden. And the garden has all the plants that you need for potions, plus the crystal tree because it looks really cool, and the Enchanted by Nature flowers because they look really cool. And then upstairs, you have the little reading area and another little nook over here on the left. And then the lecture room, and then the little reading room, and then the secret seance room and secret cauldron room. And then the last floor, you have the crystal creation stuff and another little reading nook. And then here's the little groundskeeper's house. And this is what it looks like in the back. And then you have all these crystals and orbs. And this is what it looks like in the front. There's a little cauldron right there that's being used by somebody. And it's on the gallery right here. So again, my Cozy Coastal Gamer is my EA ID. My EA ID is Cozy Coastal Gamer. And yeah, I hope you guys really liked it. And I hope it was worth the wait. Leave me know in the comments what you think. And I hope to see you in the next video. All right, bye. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a like, comment, and subscribe.
subscribe.